Welcome. I'm Carolyn Lowell with OrthoWorld. As we continue our video conversations around the orthopedic industry's response to COVID-19, today we'll get the contract manufacturer perspective. Joining me is Orchid Orthopedic Solutions CEO, Jerry Jurkiewicz. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Carolyn. Good to be with you.
As a global manufacturer, what has been Orchid's experience with in response to COVID-19?
Yeah, well, obviously it's been very crazy times, but we had three priorities early on in this crisis. And number one was ensuring the health of our employees. And so to that end, we've established a daily task force with my executive team that was collecting all information that we could to understand the crisis and affecting the actions to ensure the safety of our employees. And through that process, we've really ramped up communication to the point where I'm talking to my top 100 leaders, originally every week, and now bi-weekly in a 1-hour address. Second priority was really around our customers and surgeons. So supporting them, understanding how they were seeing the world, and translating that into the best way to serve our customers, the surgeons, and ultimately the patients. Making sure that they knew we were going to maintain our position as a large, stable part of the ortho supply chain. Thirdly, obviously maintaining the health of the business. No one really could predict what was going to unfold 120 days ago or the early part of March. And so understanding, obviously, the demand climate, the capacity climate, we didn't anticipate, we were actually afraid of demand dropping in our business very quickly and very soon in the crisis. And really what hit us first was the health of our employees, some contracting COVID and fear, absenteeism rates increasing. Fortunately, I can report to you that now those absenteeism rates are back to normal, but having that volatility on the capacity side was not something we initially planned on. But the other thing we've been focusing on is continuing to assert our strategy. So we've aggressively implemented continuous improvement during this crisis to improve our business, as well as continue our capital investments in important things that are going to serve our customers.
What primary concerns have your customers shared, and how have you responded?
Yeah, well, their immediate focus was trying to, and concerns were around trying to understand the demand situation as elective surgeries were dropping, obviously, and maintaining stability in their own manufacturing operations. So early on in the crisis, we were surprised to find our demand being very stable and strong. But quickly they turned to assessing the stability of their supply base. And so we had very direct conversations with many of our customers around the health of our business. Fortunately, we were very healthy going into the crisis and have actually strengthened our position through the crisis through the cost and cash actions that we've taken. But the other opportunity was having very open dialogue. You can imagine during a crisis like this, there's no time for gamesmanship on either side, customer or supplier. And so we've found opportunities to support their growth playbook and enable them to continue to play offense. So we're helping design product and helping customers commercialize product while they contract R&D budgets in certain ways, or I should say focus their R&D budgets in their most important priorities.
That's great to hear. Time will tell. The consensus seems to be that early 2Q was the hardest for device companies due to the ban on elective procedures that you mentioned. What will be the impact to the orthopedic supply chain, and when will that impact occur, or how long do you think that impact will occur?
Well, on the demand side, I agree. I think we didn't understand in March how this was going to unfold. I think folks believed then, and we did. We built a COVID financial model,
Mm.
and believed the second quarter was going to be the trough, and it is. I think from a demand side, we're in the trough right now as a CM. I think early projections were that the recovery would be slower. Everybody's been surprised at how hips have bounced back to numbers around 75%. Maybe knees not as much, but still north of 50. And even spine, some companies reporting near 50% of normal procedures. So I think everybody is surprised at seeing that resurgence in May. I think as we look out further, there's two schools of thought as normal. There's the bulls and the bears, and I think the bulls are saying we're going to start to recover to normal levels by the end of Q3 and then ramp to 125% of normal in Q4. I think on the other side, you hear people talking about sort of a late Q1 recovery. So I think the truth is probably somewhere in between. But anyway, we're prepared for any eventuality.
And as you think out a year or two, how do you think COVID-19 will shape orthopedics?
Well, I think it's going to have some interesting impacts. And I think not just orthopedics, but other industries as well. But you know, COVID has been a stress test for the business strategies of every company. So if you think about it, some of the worst things you could ever contemplate, both capacity risks and demand risks, all happening like a jack in the box on industries across the world. And so it's forced people to look at the weak parts of their strategy and say, maybe I should do something about them quicker, which I think for the CM space represents a real opportunity. Or for certainly, I think the well-positioned CMs, it represents an opportunity. So we're going to see, like I think on the demand side, surgery shifting to ASCs and more outpatient venues. I think on the supply side, I'll say slower pace of supplier consolidation is going to accelerate. And we're seeing direct activity of that with some of our large customers now. So I think they really want to push their chips on the most stable elements of the CM space, and of which we happen to be one. So I think we'll see that. But I think obviously this grand experiment has been one of changing and testing business models. None of us anticipated doing that in 2020. But you know, I think there's the more mundane aspects. I think travel will decrease. I think remote and virtual work will be more prevalent. But it really drives a requirement for a greater use of more creative use of technology. And that technology, when applied to business processes, obviously it requires them to be more digitized. And I think that enhances the ability to create speed in how we deliver our services. And then eventually what that will do, I think, is enable suppliers and customers to collaborate more effectively and become more closely connected due to the more virtual nature of their business processes.
Any final comments that you would like to share on navigating these challenging times?
Yeah, well, I say stay positive, continue to assert your strategy in the industry. That's what we're doing. Our mission is to enable a longer active life for patients around the world. In order for us to do that, I think we can't keep our eye off the ball. We can't deliver any of our products and services without keeping, first and foremost, two things in mind: the health of our employees, and secondly, the customers and surgeons that use our products. So we're keeping that in mind. The other thing I would say is believe in science. Stay safe by practicing proper social distancing, washing your hands, and wearing a mask. I think all of that will serve us well in the long run as we battle this crisis.
I appreciate that and appreciate your optimism. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.